Welcome back to the Daily Healing Journal. It's 2026, and guess what? I have finally reaped the benefits of my healing, and I am super excited about this. I finally found a place to live. I finally found my peace. I finally am starting to write music again. I'm finally starting to paint more often, and I'm so excited to share this with you guys. And the thing is, while we're here on YouTube, and I absolutely love this community, I want you to know that I just launched a new community that I'm going to link below where you can join that community if you'd like. And it's just going to be a more safe haven off social media where, you know, there's no politics, there's going to be no flying monkeys, and it's going to be more of a private community of people who are like-minded, who want to heal and want to see kind of the behind the scenes and the journey of how I got through this and how I continue on a daily basis to make sure that I stay on track. I stopped doing these videos for a while because that was where I was in my healing. I needed the time to sort of almost sit quietly with all of the hard work that I did. And if you're unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, you can check out the playlist, The Daily Healing Journal, where I survived narcissistic abuse and some severe scapegoating. And it has been the hardest chapter of my life, but yet the other side of it was so rewarding. And I heard so many people talk about this, and I was just like, I don't know if that's gonna be me. And I guess it works, right? So not only did I shed 40 pounds of inflammation, and I'm still working on that, but I also shed the heaviness of my life. All of the people that are no longer in my life, despite me missing a few of them, I don't really miss all of them. And I thought that I would, and I had to go through this desperate change and this desperate need for understanding. And I understood to a degree, but it was very hard for me to go through this as an artist, being on stage and needing to still make a living and live my life off of my truth, which is being creative. And it was very hard to do that. And it was very hard for me to understand how to do that in a different way. And what I realized is just because I'm an artist and just because I'm a creative person did not make that easier, because when you're trying to find creativity in survival mode, it's almost non-existent. So I really had to go inward and figure out how I could separate myself from that, which was a painful process, because being creative is also my job. And I know that a lot of creatives really struggle with this. So that's kind of what that community I was talking about that you can join, which I'll link below, is also going to help with, because there's a lot of people that are going through burnout, and there's nothing harder than trying to create from a place of survival mode. So I really had to pay attention to my vibe and my energy. And it's really difficult when you're in survival mode to switch your vibe just like that. It's a process. It's a process of healing and feeling safe for long enough to get yourself back to a place where you feel like you're going to be okay. And for me, that's really what it was. I was able to finally have distance from the people and the things that were hurting me. I was able to have enough space to understand the patterns that were going on in my life and why they kept happening, even though I wasn't necessarily a bad person and I wasn't intentionally picking these patterns, but the patterns were kind of picking me, and I had to figure out why that was. All of these things I got through, but it wasn't all through art. It wasn't all through music. There was a lot of therapy involved. And I learned a lot about researching why people do these things, why we are in the situations we're in, and how to get out of them. So that's what I want to share with you guys now. And I definitely brought you along, but if you look back on some of my videos from a year ago, which is it's about a year ago when I started this healing journey, you know, you can see the pain. There's a lot of tears in a few of those videos. I was not proud to put that on the internet, but it made me human. And from being on stage my whole life, it was really vulnerable. I think people think that just because I'm on stage and I share so much of my life, I think a lot of people assume that that's easy. It's not, but it is the cost of getting to do the thing that I love, which is storytelling. It is making music and art, and it needs a home. And without me putting myself out there, it's not going to have a home. It's not going to you don't just create something and put it in a closet. A lot of people do, but people need that art. And I read a meme about a year ago that said, finish the songs that you're writing because people need them. I was unable to do that up until recently. I also would see people's healing journey, and then, I was part of a lot of these groups, and in these groups there's still a lot of flying monkeys because they're free and it's just anybody can join them. And it was really difficult for me to not feel triggered by a lot of these mean narcissists who are coming in and attacking those healing groups. That's also the benefit of this group that I am launching. And it's bare bones right now. I'm linking it below, but again, I'm going to be uploading a lot of content, a lot of private and vulnerable content, whether it's talking to the camera or cinematic vlogs, artwork, songs, and the journey through the healing and the more creative, in-depth aspect of what I am going through and what I went through. But the other thing that I want to mention is I remember being part of these groups and seeing all these people who would post after they were healed. They would post the picture of them and their new significant other. And I just remember thinking, I'm never going to get into a relationship ever again. The person that I was with, who was cheating on me while we were trying to have a baby and was always drunk and doing drugs and things like that, and lying to me and using me for real estate purposes, and the list goes on. It was a nightmare, and spoke evil about me that was not true to not only my loved ones, but to strangers and people that, quite frankly, some of them I cared about their opinion and some of them I don't. Some of which watch this content right here and right now. Hi, how are you? But if you want to be part of this new community I'm building, you have to pay. So I don't think anybody is going to pay to be part of a community just to spy on me, but hopefully that's not the case. That's the whole point of this. But anyway, I know that the internet can be kind of a crazy space, right? So I really want to build that. I'm going to continue to upload videos to YouTube. I love this platform. I believe in it. And some of this might be paid subscription only content once we reach that phase. But I still want you guys to trust me and know that everything that I'm putting out there is authentic and real, and not just to help myself, but to help other people, because that's the most rewarding. I'm not just a painter. I'm not just a singer. I'm not just a writer. I'm not just a videographer. I'm not just an editor. Like I have built this over the 40 years that I've been alive, and it is who I am. So if that sounds like something that you want to continue following, you're in the right place. So, and the one thing that I would love to touch on of the people who were uploading the pictures of people when they finally fell in love, and I was like, I'm not getting into a relationship ever again. Well, God had other plans. And so, I was pleasantly surprised and kicked off the new year with not just a healed and wonderful feeling of having my feet really stuck on the ground and grounded, but also with a lovely person by my side. And I was not expecting that. But I guess that is what happens when you heal. And, all of these things that have changed in my life for the better, they never would have changed if I hadn't changed. This wouldn't be a thing if I hadn't cleared the space. So again, if you're going through narcissistic abuse or scapegoating, there are a lot of videos on my channel. I'm primarily a singer, primarily an artist, but I like to share what I've been through. And while, some of this stuff might be helpful for you and some of it might not be, I just want you to know that this is a safe space, and come join us in the link below. I hope to see you there. And I also want to thank you for being there for me through the hardest year of my life. I am much better. I'm sure you can tell. Truffles, say hi. Hello. But us girls are doing really well, and I've never been happier and healthier. And it's just getting better and better every day. And it doesn't mean that every day is going to be the best, right? We're still going to trip and fall, and there's still going to be triggers. There's still going to be things that we have to work on throughout our life. But I feel like for the first time in my life, I'm on a brand new, clean journey. It feels amazing, and it was a lot of work. And I want to share these little tools, books, podcasts, people that I learned from, and you have to create space for it. You have to create space for it and time, and you have to be dedicated. And the other thing that we're going to do in this new community is we are going to offer coaching calls. and that is going to be minimal because I am a full-time artist and musician. But if you are looking to speak to somebody about narcissistic abuse and recovery, and you want coaching on how to do that, and you want maybe the tips and tricks that have helped me, we are going to be offering that as well. So I just wanted to let you guys know, and thank you so much. I'm going to be uploading a more cinematic storytelling vlog very soon, but I just wanted to check in and say Happy New Year and thank you for your love and support. I couldn't be more grateful, and I'm super excited for what's to come. All right, you guys. Mwah. I love you so much. Bye.